and we are live. Welcome,
Yay.
everyone. My name is LaShirley Scott. I am the CEO and president of Scott Center for Observation, Treatment, and Transition. And I am so excited. This is our closing series for Minority Health Month. And today, it is with extreme pleasure to introduce Sabrina J Lewis, who is a visionary leader, ambassador, and liaison of nations. She combines wellness of worlds of beauty through theory, practice, and advocacy. Additionally, her humanitarian work has been recognized. Right on Eureka Road. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm double. Sorry about that. So, additionally, her humanitarian work has been recognized by politicians and community leaders. I met Sabrina in 2019 at the SCDA conference, and we have been hooked ever since. So I am so happy to have you on my platform today.
Sis, I don't even know where to start. Well, first I want to say Happy New Day, world. How y'all doing out there? I hope all is well with your world. I'm so happy. I feel so good to be here. I'm just happy. Lashade, I'm just happy to be sitting here with you right now.
Yes. Yes. So I want to let our audience know that they are able to leave comments or questions in the chat,
Okay.
and we will we will answer. As you guys know, if you've been following our Let's Talk Sickle Cell series, nothing is off limits, nothing is scripted. Today we are two girlfriends having a conversation on whatever it is that we choose to talk about. So this is a safe place, and be your most authentic self. So I say that as a disclaimer so people understand
Yes.
what
All right, y'all. Hope y'all ready.
what the talk is. So as I ask everyone, how did you get into sickle cell and where are you now?
Yes. Okay, so, well, again, my name is Sabrina J Lewis. I'm an ambassador of wellness. I'm currently residing in Brooklyn, New York, and I actually have sickle cell trait. As a child, I had asthma horribly. um, and I had sickle cell anemia. Well, I was anemic. I didn't have sickle cell anemia, but I was anemic. And with the trait, I would suffer with just pain that I couldn't explain. I was told that it was arthritis as a child. And my mother was just like, wait, what? And that's how I found out that I had sickle cell trait. And as I grew, I would still have these pains that were just misunderstood every time I would get treatment for it. So I would do thorough research and just try to see, does anyone else have trait? Does anyone else, have these experiences that I have? And it kind of led me to just participating in everything sickle cell, almost, right? But I really got started in Georgia. A church that I was a part of at the time um, knew that I was interested in community health work. And the pastor's wife said, oh, there's a position that opened up at Sickle Cell Foundation, Georgia. You should check it out. And I wasn't interested in working at the time. I just wanted to support. And I ended up getting a position temporarily, Sickle Cell Foundation, Georgia, as a community health worker. And that's where I started. I started out in Georgia before I came to New York as a community health worker in Brooklyn. And so that's really where my career um, in sickle cell began as a community health worker. But I was a community health worker 5 years prior.
Okay, okay. So you dibble and dabble, got your your
I
passion.
did.
Um when I first met you, I was just like, oh my gosh, she's so free spirited. Like, um
Yeah.
as we were speaking just a minute offline, it was kind of like, yes, come here, you're my new friend. We're gonna, just take off. I feel like
Yes.
we've known each other for a long time, and it's only been since 2019.
I'm telling you, I feel the same way.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So, so you say you have sickle cell trait, and I think, like I said, this is Minority Health Month. We always talk
Yes.
about sickle cell disease, but we will be remiss if we did not mention sickle cell
Mhm.
trait. Um, I remember having some conversations, just in, pertaining to sickle cell trait, I've always been a busy person, always.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so a lot of times people like, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? And then I crash at night because I'm so exhausted. But then the more I've gotten into my research and things like that, and now that the NCAA is making such a huge impact on sickle cell trait and the test,
Yes.
and athletes, um,
Yes.
it just makes me think about when I was a cheerleader. You know, that was probably why I was really exhausted.
Exertion.
Oh, yeah, didn't even know, and I think
Yeah.
we have to get into a habit of really spreading that information and letting
Yeah.
people be aware. Um, even people with sickle cell trait have things
Hmm.
that they have to worry about, like such as scuba diving or flying high altitudes and things of
Yeah.
this sort.
It's a big deal.
It is. It is.
You know?
Um, I just think that our community is so uninformed on sickle cell trait and sickle
Yes.
cell disease, because
I,
we don't talk about these things even in the schools. We're not really talking about these things in the schools. So I think like this platform and other platforms,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah. This is important. We need this.
yes, what is Vanessa saying? I love her. Follow the money that tells a lot. I used to be sick after every track meet. Oh man.
Yeah, I used to run track. I used to run track too, and I was so happy to start off strong, and then realize like, okay, I have to stop so I don't collapse. Right? We've heard of many athletes that have absolutely collapsed.
Yeah.
Not only were they dehydrated, but the heart just kept pumping, pumped too much blood, and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah. I see a lot of I even see a lot within the police field. Like lately we've been seeing people dying during
yes.
their trainings and things like that. And I always wonder if it's a
Mhm.
tribute to sickle cell trait. I always wonder.
I
That's
think
the
so.
first thing I ask
Yeah,
myself. Like,
I think so. I think
yeah,
so. I tried to go into the Navy after high school with my best friend years ago. That didn't work out too well. I passed all my tests, and then they said, "Wait a minute, you have sickle cell trait." I said, "I do." They said, "Well, that's not we." They couldn't accept me because,
wow.
like in the ocean, like I wouldn't do well. I didn't know. I said, "Wow, I have to do more research on that." But something about just like when we're up in the air, it's
Yep,
as above, so below.
yep,
Same thing. I
yep.
said,
No,
wow, I didn't know that was a thing,
yep.
And so, yeah.
She said more like miseducated because they told me it was in my mind. Yes, absolutely. I think
What?
I think a lot of people are miseducated, but this is why we have to continue to share the stories and make sure
Yes.
that that narrative is being pushed out there so that they
Mhm.
understand. I always use the analogy, we know 1 + 1 = 2. So we know sickle cell trait, if you have sickle cell trait, there's a possibility that there may be some
Mhm.
things associated, although it's not disease. I
Yeah.
always question, you still have a gene, you still have, what I'm saying, there's still, it's a
Yeah.
trait. So it's like, I know there's something associated to some extent, and I'm not saying we're having crisis or anything like that, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is there are things that we have to be aware of. She said I'm too
I'm
old.
too
That was
old.
the
You are not too old. If that's the case, we're all telling that age.
but yes, so my goal is to make sure that I'm always putting the information in the forefront,
Yes.
um, so that we can continue to educate and people are not misinformed on what
Right.
sickle cell disease or sickle cell trait is. Um,
Mhm.
and then just, I think, and I always mention this, I say we want to make sure that the information is across just like it is for cancer. We want to make sure
Exactly.
that our platforms are doing numbers just
Right.
like cancer.
Right.
Um, when we talk about numbers, we keep saying there's approximately 100,000 Americans living with sickle cell disease in the United States.
That's old.
It is. But we keep using that number because there's no national database
Yeah.
that allows us to know how
Hmm.
many patients are, from birth to death as such
Right.
as cystic fibrosis, which we know only 30,000 Americans
30,000.
live with cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Tamika, it's great to see you here too. Thanks
Hey,
for joining
Lisa.
us.
Thank you.
But we know that we are disproportionately affected by this
Hmm.
disease. And then more importantly, I feel, I think a lot of people do not understand that there's a lot of systematic racism wrapped around these diagnoses that
Oh, yes.
impact our community.
Oh, yes. Don't get me started.
Well, get started because I told
Okay.
you. I told
Okay.
you.
Okay, well, I'm going to get started then because we're advocates, right? And
Yes.
so, I met you as a community health worker, ambassador of wellness. And so, what that means is we go out into the community and we advocate local, city, and state level for families and individuals who have sickle cell disease and sickle cell trait, and as well as rare diseases and blood disorders. And just this past um, SCD Day on the Hill, we were doing some advocating. And there's a difference when you're advocating locally in your community, when you know your city council members, right? And you
Yeah.
know your council leaders, and then you have to go into hospitals and you're advocating on behalf of people, people who can't speak up for themselves because they're in pain, right? But they're being judged according to how much meds they may be asking for or how much they know that they need to actually feel okay. And so stigma is still heavily attached to sickle cell. If you go to Hasidic community. I'm in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. So, in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, you have, we're a bit diverse now, but we also have the Hasidic Jewish community just up the block. They have thalassemia, but we have sickle cell. If you go into Kingsburg Jewish Medical Center saying that you have thalassemia and you have sickle cell, you're treated differently, right?
Wow.
You're treated differently. I mean, we know that um, if it's
And
not sickle cell, what was you gonna say, Sade?
I was going to say, before you move forward, explain to our audience because everybody may not be aware of what thalassemia is. So, which is still
So
sickle cell, it's just
yeah,
a different type.
I was just gonna say thalassemia. Sorry, thalassemia is just another type of sickle cell, and I can look it up so I can give you all the exact definition of it. Um, but it's just a different color. I don't want to say it like that, but most persons who have thalassemia that I've come in contact with in work relations have been either Italian or Russian,
Yeah.
right? Or yeah, Russian or Italian
Yep.
or
So thalassemia definitely
Caucasian.
takes place in most Middle Eastern areas of
Yeah,
of the world. But yeah.
that
Yep.
has been my experiences, and I've seen them treated very differently. And I'm just like, okay, why are our families sitting outside waiting to be seen, but you're inside getting hydration? You're getting your medication. Why is this an ongoing conversation? The good thing now is that sickle cell, because we're all speaking up, my patients included. I'm really happy, for everyone who's speaking up for themselves and their families. Everyone is speaking up now. And we know our rights and we have the numbers to complain. We know exactly who to speak to, in the hospitals, the directors. We know the advocacy units and phone numbers to call to make sure that we're getting the support. And then, listen, community health workers came in and we're about our job. Like we are the liaison between the physicians and the community. Like I have patients who speak Yoruba. They don't speak English, but the dad felt like sickle cell was a mother's disease. He didn't know that he was a carrier. And so a lot of education had to take place even there. And I had to keep explaining to him, Dad, you actually have the trait. Mom has the trait. Mom does not have, no, I'm sorry. You actually have it in your family, and mom actually did not. But because you both came together with trait, your baby has sickle cell SS, And so it's just been a lot of education that we had to continue doing, even in families, like going into households and sitting down on the floor if you need to, just to really help families understand where did it come from and how can it affect me positively and negatively, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we do. But breaking the stigma is everything. Like just because you have sickle cell disease or sickle cell trait doesn't mean that you're an invalid. Doesn't mean that here today, you're gonna go tomorrow.
Right.
We're here to talk about health and wellness. And so it all depends on the quality, what we do every day depends on the quality of our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with this, with you making this comment, I guess moving forward, how do we, continue to move the needle, or make sure that we are constantly putting this information in the forefront? I mean, I know this is one
Sure.
way, but
I was
what are
gonna
some
say
other, yeah, so what are some other ways that our audience can kind of, find information that is the right information?
right.
Because, yeah, because when we say Google, I hate when people Google things, because a lot
Yeah,
of things,
I know.
Google will have you feel like you're dying because you're coughing, you know. So I want to make sure that people understand, like, we need to have reliable sources. Um,
Hmm.
I
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I always tell everyone to get connected to SCDAA. That's the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America. Because I mean, like that's our number one resource for everything sickle cell related. Whatever information comes in, SCDAA is gonna know about it. SCDAA has chapter organizations in each borough. Well, not borough, but I'm in Brooklyn, not each borough, but each city, right? Like Lashada, you're in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
You're in Ohio. I'm in Brooklyn, and in Brooklyn, I mean, we have Brooklyn, we have Queens, we have like 3 organizations in Brooklyn. Expanding out to Queens, there's like 3 other organizations in Queens we can get information from. I used to say the CDC, and I used to say AFA, and I used to say NIH, National Institute of Health, but I just say go to the source, right? I would definitely say go to your physician first, right? Whoever is taking care of you, your healthcare provider, your hematologist. If you don't have one, get connected, right? Because your primary care physician and your hematologist are 2 separate entities, but they may work together, right?
Yes.
So definitely, reach out to your hematologist for any information. The social workers that work with the hematologist and the primary care physicians, they have information that they can give you directly from the hospital that will not tell you no lies, right? And if you have any questions, just ask. No question is a bad question, but I would definitely start with Sickle Cell Disease Association of America, and I would branch out to your primary care physicians where you live,
Yeah.
right? Where you live, um,
So
and what we could do to answer your question, right? As you said, what we're doing now, we have our organizations and we have the online platform. I think is one of the best things that has ever happened. Like I'm
yeah.
so excited that you're able to even do this. You're expanding your reach in ways that are just amazing. When I started Sickle Cell and Trait Meets, we started out in the hospital at Kings County Hospital as a sickle cell support group. And then just expanded online during the pandemic and just kept expanding from there so that other individuals can join in. And then we started getting questions from folks in Philadelphia and in South Carolina and then in Atlanta, and then in Texas. And so we were able to connect, those individuals with resources in those particular cities. And so this connection is just super dope. You know,
Yeah. Yep.
it's
I I'm I'm excited. Um, One of the audience, they said, I know you, Scott, used to put out facts for Black History Month. What if all sickle cell platforms started sharing the same facts on various days?
yes.
That is true. I have done that in the past.
Hmm.
I
That's
didn't do it.
great.
I didn't do it this year because I don't know why I didn't do it this year. But
It's been
know,
a lot though. You've
I
done a lot this year.
I I have, but I do typically try to use the platform. I know a lot of people have taken some of my innovative ways during COVID, like the bedtime stories. Now I see people have all different types of, which is fine. Like
Yeah.
and having all of these different men and women panels and things like that. Like,
Yes.
I know during COVID, I tried to be as innovative as possible. And now I'm just really just restructuring what I
Mm-hmm.
did in COVID, but
Yeah.
more up under, because that was just from my personal page, But now
Yeah.
that, I have Scott, now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take all of those ideas and kind of revamp it and do
Yeah.
my own thing.
Consortium is definitely, I always share from the consortium. So Sickle Cell and Trait Meets is a community that was created really just to share information. I just wanted to keep the conversation going because we would have Zoom meetings every second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. We would have a sickle cell support group meeting virtually, spanning from Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn, New York. But anyone was able to join in, right? And then we changed the name from Sickle Cell Support because it started to feel like a cave. I don't want to hear sad stories all the time because this is
Yeah,
not Zoom is me. We're not doing that, right? We're
yeah,
still women's empowerment, male empowerment, everybody empowerment, right? We're still here to support the community wherever you are. And so Sickle Cell and Trait Meets is a platform just to share information, to share inspiration, to impact the world, right?
hmm,
Juneteenth. Yeah. So, you know, I feel like we're all connected, right?
yeah,
Lashada and I are connected to all of the communities, the consortium, um, Synergy, which has the events for Juneteenth. Soon you're
hmm,
going to start seeing Shine a Light on Sickle Cell banners all over if you haven't already. Juneteenth, there's going to be world education focused on that. In Brooklyn, well, not in Brooklyn, but in New York City, the Empire State Building is usually colored red in honor of sickle cell disease. And so we do ongoing education is everywhere. It's in our hospitals, it's in our physicians' offices, it's in colleges. We do every month we would do a wellness workshop in the local colleges. So like I'm around the corner from Medgar Evers College, and over the summer, well, I want to say each quarter, like each season, there's a workshop that takes place there because there's a whole community of individuals, of students with rare diseases, but they have a whole unit catered specifically to sickle cell. And
hmm.
so the students, as we come in to do the work, the students carry it out. And I think that that is amazing, for us to come in and have a vision to do something and then have students carry it out because we can't do it all. Lashade has been around the block. I have been around the block. We pushing, well, I'm in my 40s, but we getting up there,
Yeah.
and we've been in these industries and in these fields for over a decade now. And so it's important that, we go ahead and succeed, right? We pass on, we teach those that are coming behind us so that we can be successful in the succession of um of our work. And so
Yes, I'm glad you said that because on a couple talks we've talked about how people have tried to limit the access of whatever, the growth of or our progression in the sickle
yeah,
cell field.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's very important for us to continue to bring those, that are younger than us up, or even if they're older and they're just getting started. I
yeah,
I believe in working collaboratively together. I think that is the key in making sure that all of our points are being addressed, but we are unified. We are one, and
right.
that we stand on that, because I believe that's when we're going to be taken more seriously in this field. We
I
have
agree.
to we have to work together. Put your
Yes, we do.
differences aside. There is no competition.
Please, please,
This
and thank you.
Yes,
Please.
there's no competition. We are all, for the most part, we should all be on the same forefront. And if
Yes.
we're speaking about awareness and advocacy and making sure that these patients' voices are being heard, it starts
Hmm.
with us. It starts with us,
Yeah.
and ensuring that we are working together, and that
Can I
we look
just say,
unified.
and that we have to shut things down. Like we have to be okay with not listening to gossip.
Yeah.
Like we have to be okay with not listening to things that are not serving our highest and best good. If we know that we're here to build and to develop a community and people, then things that are going to bring us to a lower vibration, right? Things that are not going to uphold our community and uphold what we're building for the greater good of the people, We don't even need to have those conversations anymore. It's not about who did what in the past. Those persons have passed away. They are no longer with us, right? And I mean that in the most respectful and loving manner. I just feel like you said, we're all here to educate, right? We're here to inform, we're here to share resources and information. We each have different things going on, right? I can't speak directly to families and individuals with sickle cell. I can advocate for them because I'm there holding their hands in the hospital. I have gone to people's houses. I have gone directly to hospital beds in each borough that I live in to support people. It wasn't my job to do that. I didn't get paid to do that. Nobody else that I know that I've worked with actually went to people's homes, but I did that because I felt like, how are we going to connect with people if they don't know that we're really there for them? And
Right.
so when you're an advocate for real, you take on that energy. It's not just we're going to sit on a Zoom and we're going to provide these resources. And if you do that, then that's fine. Whoever you are watching us right now, like that's great. But we each have a different assignment. We're all here to do our own specific work. And Lashade, I can't do what you do, girl. I cannot do I cannot do what you do the way you do it, right?
Yeah.
That's your authentic nature, right? And the same thing with me. I mean, I just share information, right? And
Mhm.
answer questions. So I may not be as thorough as someone else, but collaboratively, we're amazing. I'm so proud. When I log on and I see all of our chapter organizations sharing and posting and doing these amazing creative things, it inspires me to do more. And it gives
Yeah.
me ideas of what I can do to help make things better in the community. It's Women's Minority. It's I said Women's Minority Month, but it's Minority Health Month, right?
Right.
And we are supporting families and individuals that look like us, Black and
Yep.
brown and yellow bodies who are not being treated the way that
Yep.
they should be treated. We know maternal health and maternal morbidity is still at an all-time high. But
Yeah.
thank God for the doulas and the midwives that are
Yeah.
coming to save the day. You know,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
a mouthful, but
No. No. I receive it, and yes, you are right. We all have to walk our own path. Um, I just was saying this to Tiana and Tristan
love
on
them. Oh,
Monday.
I love them. I love them.
Yeah, I believe that you have to do what suits you. I've never been the following type. I've
Right,
always been in my own head. I feel like I'm my
right.
own trendsetter. If not
You
one
are.
person
You are.
believes in my vision or believe what it is that I do, I really don't, to be honest, I really don't care. But I'm going to
Right.
continue to do what it is that I feel is necessary.
Exactly.
So, my goal is that I inspire or educate at least one person a day. That's my
Okay.
mindset behind it.
That's
So if I've
beautiful.
done that, then I feel accomplished, it's just really nice to see what I have done in the last 8 years for
Yeah.
sickle cell patients or whatnot. But
Hmm.
as we know, everything that I do is passion driven because I am impacted as a mother.
Yeah.
Tristan and Tiana got on me last week about saying I'm just a mom of
I
two
was gonna say
warriors. He Tristan said, "No, you are the shield. Parents are shields," and I love that because
that's good.
I I just never want to make the warriors feel that I'm telling their story. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? I
Right.
can't
Right.
do that, and that is why I bring them on because I feel that it's their duty to share their story. I'm
I
just
agree.
a component to help push that narrative.
Yeah.
Um, I can have a lot of empathy and compassion, but I would
Hmm.
never fully understand what it is that's going on in their bodies, even with
Exactly.
being a parent.
Right.
So I think it's just important for us to really, make sure that they feel supported, make sure that these resources are available everywhere, not just one state or one city.
Exactly.
And that is why, I was thankful that Mia Robinson had invited me to join her committee for her transitioning in Atlanta.
Awesome. Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
so it's like, you know, if my boys decide
Mhm.
that they want to go to Atlanta, those same things will be there that is,
Yeah.
that I'm creating here. So that's really. the goal. My goal is to be able to touch everybody in every state.
Yeah.
Have them come on here. We discuss. We figure out how we can work collaboratively together. And kind of still have that overall, that all around care for sickle cell patients or sickle cell trait, so that we just know, okay, even if I move to California, or even if I move to Vegas, or if I come to
Right.
New York, you know, it's the same level of care.
Yeah.
And that really starts with community-based organizations, having community health workers, having those liaisons and those partnerships with the hospitals, so that we can all have a level of understanding on how to treat these patients.
Exactly. That's what it's
Um,
all about.
yeah, because
That's what we do.
I'm pretty sure these other these other cancer clinics, these comprehensive cancer clinics, I'm pretty sure they have
Come on.
all the bells and whistles.
Come on.
And that,
Everywhere, yeah, everywhere in every city, like, I mean, of course, everyone comes to New York City, to Sloan Kettering, for care, but they have their chapter locations that are doing big things.
I am just so mind blown. I know they said sickle cell is supposed to increase by 30% by
Mm.
2030.
Mm.
That's alarming.
Mm.
We already struggling now.
You know what? We need more families and individuals. I'm going to look directly into the camera. We need more families and individuals with sickle cell and sickle cell traits to participate in these trials. And I know that that's not something that we grew up doing because of history, right? History has told us, okay, don't do it, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different holistic remedies that's coming along the
Yeah.
way. And if we want to prevent and eliminate any type of discomforts, I know everyone is saying, oh, but it's an inherited blood. I was taught that it's something that you will have forever, right? But I don't believe that it has to affect you forever. I believe that you can have it and it not bother you and it not affect you, depending on certain things that you can possibly do. I'm not saying that, again, I'm speaking for sickle cell trait right now because I don't have sickle cell disease, and I don't want anyone to come on here beating me up because I was on another platform and they came for me. They was like, girl, you don't even have the disease. What are you talking about? I said, I'm not trying to tell you how to feel. I'm just telling you that there are different trials out there that can possibly help, right? We need more participants. How
Yeah.
are we gonna know? How are we gonna know what works? If we don't have willing participants. And it's not just in our community, it's all across the board, right?
Yep.
And so, yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I do feel that a lot of patients, especially the older sickle cell patients, they are willing to do a lot of these trials, and they're actually speaking up a lot.
They are.
But I feel that their advocacy is really going to shape how it looks later on for individuals coming up.
Right.
So I'm excited to see what that's going to do. I know that Tiana had mentioned that Bluebird had put in their application for gene therapy, trials or whatever. And I think that's awesome. I think, now there are a lot of different ways to manage your sickle cell
Right.
compared to, in the 50s or 60s
And
where,
it's feeling.
yeah. So, I am very hopeful, and I do feel that things are moving in the right direction. Vanessa said India
Awesome.
has made a whole travel industry out of bone marrow transplants. Oh
They
wow.
have. They really have. No, India is doing amazing things. First of all, I feel like we're behind. I feel like the United States of America is behind in so many different things. Artificial intelligence has completely taken over. In China, students are, like learning. I mean, it's banned here. Certain things are banned here. I was reading some things today, but we were talking about just the different trials and different things that was happening in the bone marrow and the genotypes that they were creating that we didn't even hear of. And I'm just like, well, why don't we know what's going on? Like we're in the Mecca. We should know these things, but I'm thankful and I'm also hopeful to know, not even hopeful, I'm just thankful to know that we have different remedies for wellness, right?
Yeah.
That can support us along the journey. And honestly, that's what made me continue this work, just knowing that, listen, they don't dictate to you how you feel today. You tell yourself how you feel today. Yes, we have positive affirmations. And oftentimes in working with families and individuals, dealing with social determinants of health, I've learned that many of my patients that went into crisis at specific times during a specific period had some serious social situations that was just really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, okay, so that's a whole nother ball game. We need to deal with that. And if we can deal with that, then that will eliminate the number of hospital visits you're getting during this particular time of the year. Whether it be housing, this is a big one. We know housing, we know immigration, we know that lack of finances is a very big issue.
Yep.
Right? And when we're able to first meet the needs of people, we can't really have conversations about a trial if somebody is hungry. We have to feed, we have to feed and we have to clothe, individuals and make sure that they're getting resources and recommendations that are real, not just a number that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so when we're doing the work, it's not just about sharing information and educating the community. Like we're really out here making sure that people are being taken care of appropriately and properly. And that's why we need a break. And sometimes we get tired, because it's just like, when you're really doing it, it's work. And then sometimes you feel unseen. But what's encouraging is those individuals that you have helped, that you will come across one day and they will say, wow, thank you so much for providing that information. Or thank you so much for doing that live stream, thank you so much for showing up. Even, when my family members were out of town or out of the country and couldn't be here for me, thank you for speaking up for me when I wasn't able to speak up for myself, And so I feel like as long as we just continue to do what we know, we have the ability to do.
I agree with everything you said, but I want to add this piece to it.
Mm-hmm.
When we're given these resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to be mindful, and I'm gonna give an example. So if you say, we help someone from being homeless, now they're not homeless, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've helped them get housing, and but after that, did we do enough? And what I mean is, so if this person's been homeless, right? Let's say they have children. They've been homeless. They not so now the kids are used to having a foundation. Now they have a roof.
Right.
Most people tend to take care of things better when they worked for it. And this is no shade. This is
no,
fact.
Of course. Yes.
And as I said, I'm very authentic. So we tend to appreciate things in life when we work for it versus, someone saying, hey, okay, we got you a home, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We need to be able to provide the service of teaching them how to take care of. So it's no different.
Oh, no, I agree.
It's no different from saying, okay, so here you have this home. How are you able to keep it clean? How are you able to manage the bills? Like, are we giving, outside of the resources, are we doing any follow-up to make sure that they are doing what they need to do? So there's no difference even when taking care of health. So when we talk about social determinants, when we talk about, these different barriers or just the basics, the overall basics, we need to make sure that we are given a full overview of all of the logistics that goes into taking care of home, taking care of yourself. We know, as we always say, health is wealth, and just everything. We want to make sure that everything lines up. Just straight facts
with what we're doing.
Yeah. Yes.
No. Yeah. I agree to what you're saying wholeheartedly. My family has an organization. I should have shared that prior to. It's called Rafa Art Life Center, formerly Rafa Evangelistic Worship Center. And that's where we host wellness workshops, financial literacy workshops, not only feeding the homeless, but also educating the homeless. So everything that we do, there's a follow-up. There's a whole team. We have a team, right? We have a team of
Mm-hmm.
individuals that make sure, and this is just outside of hospital, because hospital is not, they're not doing all of that.
Nope.
They're not. And so the organizations like Canva that we refer these individuals to, they're not gonna do all that either. They're gonna put them on a list. They're gonna make sure that they get on the list. Then they're gonna
Yep.
get on another list. They're gonna get them some food.
Yep.
And then it's like, okay, well, how they gonna cook if they can't, like how, like then we have to kind of help fill in the gaps. And
Yeah.
so it's like that's what I mean when I say we have to do what we know that we have the ability to do, not just provide the resources or the information. It's like if you're gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
Do it
Yep.
wholeheartedly. And then some people wasn't taught. I'm learning, and a friend of mine said, "Listen, this is a different day and age. This is a different generation. I don't know. Some people weren't taught to go that deep and be as thorough, right? And so team building and community building is important because what someone else have, I may not have the ability to do, right? But because I feel like we know, then we provide those resources. I love
Yeah.
what you said because that's important, and that's the message that even at Rafa, it's like, okay, so we are aware that people don't take care of other people's stuff.
Right. Right.
We're aware that people are not gonna be as thorough in showing up for certain things unless there's an incentive you know and
Yep.
so even when we was at the hospital, I used to have to be really like, they heard my voice before they even saw me. It's just like, okay, well, listen, we can only do but so much.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have to actually come to your appointments. You have to actually be present to do these things. If you want to go to school, you gotta go. If you want to win a lottery, you gotta buy a ticket. you
Yeah.
know and
Yep.
so it's a process and it's work. We do have to have accountability
Yeah.
all around. We have to have accountability all around. And there's so much more I want to say about that, but I don't want to step on elbows and toes. But in the hospital facilities, there has to be accountability.
Absolutely.
In
Absolutely.
homes, there has to be accountability. In physicians' offices, there has to be accountability all around.
Yep. Yep.
People doing what they said they did.
Yep. And it need to be a checkpoint for each person. I always say we have to hold everybody accountable.
Mhm.
Even as far as if you have to interview your hematologist, or it's funny because my boy's
Mhm.
hematologist, I actually interviewed him, and then I did not even take them to him originally. I stuck to who I was with, just because
Mm.
those relationships that you start with. I mean, they're with him now because of
Okay.
some things, but he's amazing, and
Yeah.
that's not to shame him or anything. It's
Of
just
course.
sometimes
Yeah.
we're comfortable with who we start with, but I
Right.
think it's important. And I mean, I literally sat on that phone with that man for at least 30 to 40 minutes, like, ask, just questioning. So I tell
Yeah.
people, you just because they're doctors does not mean that they know everything.
They don't. They
um
don't. They
you
don't.
have a responsibility as a patient
Right.
to know who's taking care of your health,
Mhm.
making sure that person is invested in you. You do not have to settle because
Right.
that's the person that's there.
Right.
And I try to make sure that I stress that, because you're essentially paying them, whether you're on private insurance, Medicaid, you're paying them for a service. So you
Right.
want to make sure that you are receiving the best care possible. um
Exactly.
so there's this particular doctor in the area where my boys go.
Mhm.
I know that he is invested in sickle cell. Now, I can't speak to that with other physicians, but I know him personally.
Yes.
He makes, anytime I ask this man to do something for sickle cell, He's right
He
there on the
doesn't.
spot. So for me,
Okay.
that speaks volumes. So of course, I'm going to allow my children to be his patients, because I know
Yes.
if he would go that hard with them not being his patients, what was he going to do when they became his patients? So that was really I was able to see that, and
Yeah.
it's not just talk. You got to walk the walk and talk the talk
That's
at the same
important.
time.
That's important, right?
Yes. Yes,
You have to
absolutely.
use that.
So, so before, before we leave, I want you to kind of leave
Mhm.
our audience with ways that they can center their energy and just, because I already told you, I know you're free spirited. Tell tell our audience how we can kind of get our minds right. And
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Sure. We have all these demands placed on us every single day, right? When we were growing up, people always ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do? Like, can I just be present? Can I just be present? And can I figure it out as I go along the journey? Because I'm ever becoming, right? And as women, there's so much put on us as just a woman before we can even become a mother. My heart goes out to my young ladies. I speak to them in schools, and I'm just saying, take the time out to really know or learn what you like. Like first we have to learn and know ourselves. And that's a lifelong process. But if we're always working, and if we're always in a meeting or a Zoom, or we have to tend to everybody before we tend to ourselves, then we're going to forget at some point really who we are and what we want to do in life. It happened to me. It happened to me. And so I'm speaking from experience. And so, I always say in the morning, we have dreams at night. So you can do it at night or you can do it in the morning, right? At night, I like to just write out, okay, what do I need to do the next day? What is my next day going to look like? We plan 3 months in advance, of course, right? But yeah, can we just be present? But, we plan in advance, but at night before you go to bed, write out, what was your day like? Did you do anything that you wanted to do that particular day, right? So let me start from the morning. So like a morning ritual, right? A morning ritual. I don't know what time you all wake up in the morning, but my eyes tend to open up between 4:30, 4:45 every single day, right? And when I wake up, before I know some of us have our phones right next to us. I know y'all got your phones. Don't front, right? We have to learn not to sleep with our phones, but to put it like on a desk away from us so we can actually get up out of bed and have us time first. So in the morning, take some time out and by your bed. Did I do something?
No, you're here.
Did I just press something? Oh,
You're
okay. I something. I pressed something over here. I'm sorry about that. And so just make sure that you have a notebook, a pen, and some water by your bed. When you first wake up in the morning, I would like to encourage you to write out the first 20 ideas and thoughts that you have when you first wake up, right? Your thoughts, what is pure for you when you first wake up, whatever it is that you dreamed about, write that down as much as you can remember. Every idea is a guide idea. Everything that you come across is to help you become not just better, but it's to help you in your own life do something, right? It could just be, oh, have limes today, like I don't know, whatever ideas that you all may have, right? Write out the first 20 thoughts that comes to your mind. Take some time out to just be quiet. Like we need quiet time. There's so much noise around us. I mean, if it's not someone talking, it's us listening to personal development. Like we're in a world of so much, we're in information overload. I feel like we already have everything that we need to know to live on this earth. I mean, of course, there's new things developing, people creating stuff, sun, moon, new moons and suns. There's so much going on out there, right? For real. It's like, what? And so just take a moment to just be quiet and just be present with yourself. So in the morning, I literally I have my window open, right? But in the morning, what I do is I close it. I close it because I'm like, okay, I don't want to hear anything out there yet. I don't want to see anything out there yet. Um, and I'll close everything and I'll just kind of like sit in quiet silence, close everything. Just shut it down. And just give yourself, maybe set a timer for like 30 seconds if you can be still. Don't try not to think about anything, right? During that time. And if you do, count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and do your deep breaths, inhales and exhales, right? Through your nose and then out through your mouth. So it's like, so you're inhaling 4 counts and you're holding 4 counts. And then you're blowing out 4 counts. Everything you do is going to be 4 counts. If you can go longer, go longer. But I say 4 just to allow yourself to be present. You're not thinking about anything. You're not rushing to get to anyone or anything. If you got to lock the babies out, hubby, give me 5 good minutes, right? Babies, give me 5 good minutes. I need this time for myself. That's going to set the pace for your whole day. Once you actually take that time out and quiet, and then you're able to look at your list, because you might write in the dark if it's dark, right? And so, you want to I have a whole bunch of, I thought I had my journals over here, but whatever journals or whatever books, you may have, you'll begin to look at what you wrote in amazement. Like, wait, did I really have these dreams? Or are these really my ideas? And those ideas are for you to execute. Before you know it, you'll be achieving dreams and goals and things that you said you wanted to do 20 years ago, but because you've had quiet time and then you had thinking time, because after you see those lists, then you can think, okay, is this in alignment with where I'm heading? Is this in alignment with what I want to do in my life, right? Mm-hmm. It all helps out. I like to speak on dimensional wellness and that's another conversation for another day. All right. I do a lot of workshops and classes and courses on that because it's not just one thing. Many times we think it's just about what we eat or physical fitness. It's not just working out and it's not just eating. You can eat all the right things and you can work out and still not lose weight. I've been a group fitness instructor for over 10 years. And I mean, you can still not lose weight, right? Maybe you need to go to sleep. Maybe you're not sleeping well. So I don't want to talk too long, but I would just say, make sure that you spend some time meditating. Learn how to meditate. Once we get our minds right, everything begins and ends with the mind, right? And so once we're able to focus our minds on one thing at a time, what is one thing that you can do today to make you happy, right? Do that. What is one thing that you can do today that will bring you closer to your dream? Do that. What is one thing you can do today for someone else, for your family, for your loved ones, right? Do that. Focus on those top 3 things every single day, right? It could be personal, professional, and family. It could be community. It could be business. It could be work. Whatever it is in your life, I always tell people, choose 3 things, the top 3 things. Don't have these. I used to have these long lists of things to do and like only get to maybe like 3 or 4 items and be exhausted by the end of the day. And I'm like, why do we feel like we have to have all these things accomplished? I had to free myself of things that was attached to me that had put demands on me that I didn't align with. I didn't agree with it. I didn't want to do the things that I was being told to do. I didn't want to have to go to a job every single day at the same time. I wanted to spend time with my mother. I wanted to spend time with my son. And I just got to a place where I was just tired. I said, I don't want to do this today.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I didn't have to. It's another story, but thoughts become things. So we have to watch our thoughts. Positive becomes positive. Negative becomes negative. Who's in our company matters. We cannot be sitting around allowing people to feed us a whole bunch of negative things, and because we take that in and it affects our attitude and it affects how we communicate and how we do our work every day. And so in my business, I make sure I have this big sign that says everything always works out for us. And all is well, because it's not just about me, it's about us, because we're team building and we're community built. And as long as we're willing to do the work that we were sent here to do, right? As long as we're willing to do that, then we'll be happy. We're unhappy when we're not doing the things that we see other people doing that we know we can do better. That's when we're unhappy. And so when we start really showing up for ourselves and learning who we are, what we like, and just taking the time out to really just think, it makes a big difference. There's so much more I want to say, but I know time
They
is time.
they they gonna have to follow you. They gonna have to follow you. So here's where you
Yeah,
can find Miss Sabrina Lewis, Sickle Cell and Trait Meats. That is
yeah.
her Instagram. I just want to tell you thank you for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I love the energy that you bring. When we speak on energy, I'm a big words and affirmation person as well. And everything that you said, we have to these things into existence.
Yes,
You have to leave the negativity outside, and that helps with your mental health and how you process things that are going on as well. Um,
yes.
I think it's just important that we continue. Thank you, Miss Rose. We appreciate you and
Thank
we love you
you.
too.
Thank you so
But
much.
I just think that it's really important for us to continue have these conversations. Maybe reach out to you again, come back on. Maybe teach a moment, to decompress. Because sometimes I think, even myself, sometimes I don't always, because I'm a person that's such on the go, I don't always get the best rest myself,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's things that I have to practice or put in place to, make sure that I'm definitely taking care of me.
yeah.
Because I can't feed or pour into others if I'm not doing what I need
Mm-mm.
to do for myself. So
No,
I'm still
you
learning.
can't.
I'm still learning some things about
Oh
myself and how I
Lord,
can,
we
because
don't
I
have
know
all the answers.
not at
We
all,
don't
but
have.
I know people will look at us and assume that we just have
Uh,
it all together, and I have
yeah.
my own struggles as well.
Take the cape
But
off, sis. Sis, take off. Look, I wrote a whole chapter in this book about it. Take the cape off. You don't own it. You don't have to. Just
yep,
all we have to do is what we were sent here to do. We don't have to try to do everything because somebody else is assigned to do what you want to do. But you just have to
yes,
do what you were created to do. And so
yes,
thank you
absolutely,
so much, sis. I wanted to say I'm more so on Facebook. So the Facebook is at Sickle Cells and Trait Meets. That's where the community is at on Facebook.
okay.
All
So
right.
you heard her. So this is the end of our series for Minority Health Month. If you have
Yeah.
not tuned in, if this is your first one, you need to go subscribe to the YouTube channel, Scott Center OH. Follow us at Facebook, Scott Center for Observation, Treatment, and Transition. Hit the like button. You do not want to miss what I have coming up for Mental Health Month, which is May.
Oh, that's
There's
gonna
going to
be
be a
awesome.
yeah,
Oh,
we have some things up our sleeves for you guys. I will be posting
oh,
that on Monday. So just keep
awesome.
keep your eyes open, and I just thank you all for tuning in tonight once again, and enjoy your weekend. Thank you again, Sabrina. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for watching us. And don't forget to love life well. Do one thing to
Yes,
make you happy and live. Thank you.
yes. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.